price differentiation. It's one way to sit down and look at your market and see actually there's different moments and different pieces of the market. And some people have no problem. I'm going to drop this amount of money for that because I want it. I want it now. I'm an American. That's how life works. Or I want to shop a little bit. Or that really is kind of high. You'll have different attitudes coming into every single product and service, and you'll have to address the different classes of people, and not by class as to you are this rich class and you're the poor class. No, it doesn't matter. There are people at all levels of the economic strata that sit down there and have a different opinion about, I want to spend it, I want it now, I don't care what it costs. And then you have the other ones that no matter what happens or how much money they have in the bank or whatever fashion may dictate, they may have to shop because it's a required necessity in their brain structure, how they want to do it and justify their expenditures. And then others, they can never afford it no matter how much money they have in the bank, and they always plead poverty. And indeed, some are in poverty, but other ones plead it because of the fact they don't want to spend the money and they just really don't want to do that particular thing because of whatever. So you have to pay attention to that. And we really segment this into 6 different types of pricing. And I'm not even certain that's enough because people have different mindsets. Sometimes they'll have one mindset on a Monday and a different mindset on Wednesday and a totally different one on Friday because it's payday. It just depends sometimes because we are so flexible and too much of our population moves based upon emotions of the minute. Maybe that's healthy, maybe it's not, but it is part of our market aspect of it and how we have to appeal in the aspect of selling. It's called price differentiation. In fashion, some customers always want to be very fashionable. It's a big deal. They need to have the latest, coolest stuff, which is where stores like Temu out there, they're pushing their fast fashion out there, and it's good for 4 months, and boom, they wipe out that whole line and start another line, and they have a constant stream. You have Zara, which focus on more high-end clothing. They're looking for a specific market niche with their pricing as well as the actual appearance that they have and the freshness of it. There are people that want cutting edge fashion. There are some people who stick with the same old style inside and out, no matter what happens. They'll do it until the last breath is taken because that's what they're looking for. But in fashion, you have customers, they're willing to buy at the start of the selling season because they want to be the very first ones. They have the very coolest things to be fashionable first because they saw it in whatever magazine they saw. Other customers are value conscious. They're willing to wait until the end of the sale season. Oh my goodness, they're going to wait 3 months to buy that outfit. Yes, yes, because of the fact they want to get 20 to 40% off because everybody cuts their prices just trying to unload the inventory at the end of the season. It just depends who you are, where you are. Well, I got this purse. Did you realize that purse is last year's fashion? But I paid $400 for it. Yeah, I know that's a problem. It actually was selling for $1,000 last year. You bought the leftovers. I have the latest purse. I have one for $2,000. And yes, these conversations really happen. It really depends on the person as to what they view as value. Some people may view a purse as a bag to put stuff in. Other people view the purse as a fashion item. Some guys, they go out and they buy a hat. A hat is not fashionable unless you wear it at a certain angle. And you're on the cover of, well, yes. Okay. So it depends on the world of fashion, what you define as to what you want to be fashionable in. It depends what you're driving. Are you driving this type of vehicle because you're environmentally conscious? Are you driving this type of vehicle for practicality? Or are you just driving a vehicle to get from point A to point B and you don't care what it looks like or how it does, as long as it starts, as long as it stops? It just depends upon your value system that you have pretty much imprinted before the age of 10, but finalized by the age of 20. So different customers are charged different prices that can result in higher revenue. For example, on the demand price curve, a retailer can charge customers who are willing to pay a higher price only to $1,000. It's an awful lot of money after $1,000. I don't know if I want to pay anymore, but there's 200 customers willing to pay $1,600, and you have 100 willing to pay $800. Well, okay, now if you're paying attention to the numbers over here, by charging one price, you're leaving money on the table. You can sit down with those 100 customers. Maybe you open your doors on one day early before you have the sale, and maybe for the 1600, maybe you open them on the third day of the sale, and everybody else, those people only willing to pay $1,000, they're not inferior. They're customers with money because $1,000 is serious cash money. But the reality is maybe they want to sit down and have picked-overs after the people that paid 1,800 and 1,600. They will get picked-overs, but the picked-overs are pretty nice still on top of that. By charging the single price, you leave money on the table. Now, you also have to wrestle with the fact that those $1,000 customers, they may be ticked off that they weren't included in the other ones just because they want a bargain shop, just because they have this, just because they paid more. Okay, and they shouldn't. Should have paid 1,000. You should have charged me, and I should have the same rights today. Everybody has rights nowadays, so pay attention to this. It can sit down and get you, and you'll see it especially on the airline process. So money left on the table. Here's a quick calculation. If you sold everything in this process over here, you could have left $250,000 on the table in the process. So look on the multi price strategy or different methodology as you go out and try to find your multi-tiered pricing strategy if you follow this pursuit. Revenue management, sell the right inventory to the right customer at the right time for the right price. You got to figure out who your clientele are that you're selling to. There's a book out there called The 4-Hour Work Week. And really, the 4-Hour Work Week, if you look at it, he talks about the aspect of the right customer at the right time for the right price. He classified the aspects of 4 different types of customer. There's A's, B's, C's, and D's. The A's would always buy because they like the product, they like everything about it. The B's are really price shoppers. The C's are those people that they only sit down and they step in on sales and it can be really a pain. And the D's are a pain no matter what because they like being a pain. Ferris, that wrote the book, he says he got rid of his D customers. He says, okay, you know what? I'm certain I can't satisfy you. I recommend you go to a different company. And he cut them off. Well, of his D customers, a percentage of them pleaded to come back to his company because all of a sudden his company became more valuable, but he didn't want to waste his time. And he told him that if you keep on haranguing me, I really don't want to deal with you. I'm going to deal with people that care about the things I do. He literally cut off his D customers. I recommend you take a look at the book because he reduced his amount of time that he had to spend, but he did it by getting rid of some customers and making some other changes within the system. Right customer. Sometimes you can't satisfy a customer. Sometimes you don't want that customer, and the customer is not always right. The good customers are always right, but not all the customers are always right. It just depends on your philosophy in business. Here are the characteristics: existence of perishable products. Because almost everything has perishability to it, you have to pay attention to that. Fluctuating demand. Sometimes you may have the perfect thing for the perfect customer, but the economy just tanked because the Fed sat down there and refused to reduce interest rates. Oh no, not again. I got this $3 million house in the market. I'll never sell it. And you might at that price. You may have to drop it or just wait until the fact the Fed drops the rate. It just depends what market you're in, what the motion is, right place, right customer, right time. A fixed capacity in the system, segmentation of the market based on sensitivity to the price. People pay attention to the pricing. Even in times of severe economic recession, I always thought that the rich will always buy extraordinarily expensive vehicles. And the truth of the matter is they do not. If you look on the actual higher end vehicles priced over $200,000, you'll see that when the economy contracts, even those that have the wealth to purchase that type of vehicle, they withdraw their purchasing, even though they have the money in the bank to do so, because they're always worried about the economy. A contracting economy affects everybody. So pay attention to, even though you might have a good market segment and an idea as to your pricing different markets, pay attention from the rich to the poor. People pay attention to the world around them. American Airlines in the 1980s, they pioneered the aspect of revenue management. They started pricing seats individually. They went through the plane and decided, oh, I'm going to charge this price for this seat and this price for this seat. And by the way, if I can get $20 more out of this seat, I'm going to do it by doing the following. They went out. People Express then countered that, and they went out of business. But American Airlines survived. So even though the aspect of People Express, I don't know why they went under because their model looked really good, but the reality is they didn't execute it properly. So leisure travelers, If you're just traveling for your own personal benefit, you're highly sensitive to price. If the company's paid for it, who cares? Company's going to make money off my trip, so I don't really care about the price. And I just want to get this done and get this over with and make certain I meet the customer at the right time. But leisure travelers are totally different. They're not sensitive to the duration of the trip as much as a business traveler, because the business traveler has to pop, 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 make certain that they meet all their meetings. So they're two totally different types of travelers, subject to two totally different kinds of pricing structures, and they probably should be. So that's why the airline went from having first class and coach, the first class business class coach, the first class business class coach, and also 17 other types of pricing for different types of seats. Business travelers, they're looking for a totally different market on the airlines than the leisure traveler, but they all put them in the same steel tube that they launch into the sky. Sometimes you want to build fences to keep people from paying the whatever to the cost conscious. So in that process, pay attention to it, look for fare classes, then build a fence as to how people sit down and guide them through the pathway this way over here. You're a business traveler. You need to sit down and relax and get ready for your business over here. Leisure, look at the opportunity at the other end of the. There are two different sales pitches, two different markets. And then if you really want to focus in, I know you're a leisure traveler and you're going, but don't you want to arrive at your vacation resort comfortable and relaxing? We have an extra seat over here. We have two of them by the exit row, $75 more a piece, but you're going to have that 6 hour flight. You're going to have all that time to relax over here. And it depends on marketing. So differential pricing is more contingent on a more specific marketing to a different class of customer and deciding how many classes of customers you have that are price conscious and why are they price conscious. The specific time, specific flight, it depends where it is. The red-eye flights, if they're launches at 8 p.m. and they land at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's a different critter altogether than somebody that's in the daytime in the process as well. If they have children, that's a different type of flight. If they're senior citizens, that could be a different type of flight. If they're vacationing, that's a different kind of flight. There's different product segmentations, different market segmentations, all with different pricing. Non-refundable, available up to 21 days before the flight. Booking control, allocate available seats to fare classes. Seating limits, number of seats that can be allocated to lower fare. Have your different algorithms in a plane. This was pioneered by American Airlines, and it was so successful that just about every single airline out there has this aspect of it, from charging for the first suitcases free to none of them are free to whatever. Your first one's $30, the next one's $65, or your third one's $75. It just depends what they have. Leisure fare, $100 a ticket. Business fare, $250. Frankly, that's probably what the market is. 80 seats in a plane at the 250, and reduce it if you have to, and then scoot it back. Your last row business class, if you can't sell it, then sit down or cut it down to $100 a ticket for leisure fare and sell it out. You want to sit down and maximize your capital, that every single aspect is addressed and every single seat is sold out if you possibly can do that. Determine expected revenue for each seat. Make certain that you're looking on the budget aspect and try to revenue and try to market in that specific price class. And then also the marginal revenue associated with leisure class seats. Make certain that the unlimited seat demand implies a constant marginal revenue. You'll have some money coming in, especially if you fill up the entire flight. 18 seats allocated to business class. What if you have 20 people asking for business class? Fine, then knock off the next 4 seats, upgrade them a little bit, change out the seats, make them the more leg space, whatever you may do for your thing, then add 22 seats to it and keep on adding as possible. Push the cheaper ones out, depends upon the demand that you can have. So know there's different types of price consciousness. Market to the different types of price conscious, because you're looking at them for different revenue classes. Over here, I can make this much money, over here, and so on. Maximize your potential revenue. That is what price differentiation is all about. Take care.